Hi, it's Paul Slack. It's Good News Planet. We're here at Sarah Beth's Kitchen. I'm here with Ken Biberaj. Hi, Ken. How are you?
I'm great, Paul. Thanks for having me.
Okay, great. So, Sarah Beth's Kitchen is up on the Upper West Side, on around 81st Street and Amsterdam Avenue, and actually good friends of Good News, Sarah Beth and her husband, Bill Levine. And I always love being here. Ken's a new good friend, and Ken's running for the City Council up here on the Upper West Side of New York, New York, New York. A lot of
one and only.
And he's worked in the world of politics before. He's also worked in the streets of New York and selling real estate. And tell us a little bit about your background.
Well, yeah, real quick. I was born in New York, right in the Bronx. Went to American University in Washington, then the Harvard Kennedy School. Then I went down to Florida, worked for John Kerry's presidential campaign. After that, wonderful experience. Came back to New York about 8 years ago, then joined a family business. And we do a lot of retail leasing, where we help small businesses like Sarah Beth try to find locations to lease around the city. And we also own and operate the Russian Tea Room. So if you remember, we actually took it over in 2004 when it was closed and brought it back in 2006, which I think is pretty good news, because at the time, everyone thought the Russian Tea Room was gone forever, and it was very exciting to be able to bring it back. Now, we're facing a big and challenging time here on not only the Upper West Side, but around the city, where the mayor's leaving half the city council, and I think we need some new energy and a different perspective in City Hall.
You can see he's already got that energy inside of him. I saw Ken, in addition to seeing him at the Russian Tea Room where we did a story, I saw him on the corner of 79th Street right by the subway.
Yes,
and I think he's been out there for a bit.
Yeah.
You like to touch the palms and
Absolutely.
talk to people.
Look, this is retail politics at its finest, the Upper West Side. People want to know who's running. They want to talk to them. They want to engage with them. So what we've decided to do is bring the campaign directly to people. We do events at small businesses all around the neighborhood, and I literally stand at street corners and in front of grocery stores. I jumped in the race in March of last year, and by July we raised all the money for the entire election. So since then, I've just been rotating subway stations for over almost a year now, which is pretty incredible. It's funny, on 86th Street yesterday, I saw these two little kids who a couple months ago were in a baby stroller. Now they're walking and talking. So watching things evolve over time. So.
What do you think it is about the Upper West Side that interests you so much?
Oh, I mean, my wife and I live on 76 in Columbus. We're expecting our first child in May, and the Upper West Side is just such a diverse, vibrant, and dynamic neighborhood. We have amazing small businesses. We have amazing people. It has amazing history, culture. It really is just the greatest neighborhood, and we're going to be here, for the rest of our lives, God willing. But we have a lot of challenges, and the things that we're focused most on are really helping a lot of the small businesses that really make the neighborhood so unique. Every single day, a new place on the Upper West Side closes down, and you have another chain coming in. And the city could really do a much better job to help small businesses while they're here and stop this influx of chains. And that's one of the things that will be a top priority for me in the City Council.
Now, Sarah Beth's oven to itself is that perfect story. She started in her kitchen right over here making jelly. And then was across the street for a bunch of years, and now, has expanded over the years. It's a real, almost that immigrant life story here.
Yeah. And that's what New York has always been famous for. We create these amazing brands like Sarah Beth, and we're able to then take them and move them around the country and grow. And we want to be able to protect the existing mom and pops that are in the city, but we also want to make it easier so that the next Sarah Beths can emerge. And the city is making it so hard for new businesses to get started. If you're not a chain, a bank, or a Dwayne Reed, you don't stand a fighting chance. And we need to fix that so that the next Sarah Beths will be able to get started right here on the Upper West Side and then grow and flourish all across our city.
How do we go about doing that?
Yeah, well, I just don't think it's a level playing field right now. So first of all, every small business has to fight tooth and nail to get a space that a landlord's trying to give to a national chain. So if we're lucky enough to get that small business to have that lease, then when they try to open, the building department, consumer affairs, the health department, they delay the small businesses so much. So then it takes 18 months to open, so you're already starting behind. And then once you're open, they're killing you with fines and violations and trying to raise more revenue from you. So we need advocates in City Hall who have run businesses, who know what it's like to deal with city agencies, and know where we can make improvements, because it's hard enough to run a business existing right now.
Okay, makes a good sense. Up here on the Upper West Side, we have a lot of religious institutions. We have a lot of schools.
Yeah.
This is a real local neighborhood.
Oh, it's great.
And we do pride ourselves in trying to preserve that, the school system. keeping the schools healthy, how about that? How do we go about that?
Huge. I mean, you touched on this. This is a true neighborhood. We have amazing religious and cultural institutions, and the school system is top notch. But we haven't planned properly. So my wife and I now, we're public school children, and we want to send our child to public school. But the preschool at PS 87, which is where we're living, there's a 4% acceptance rate to preschool. It's just absolutely, we haven't planned properly. So we need to create more capacity so that families in the neighborhood know and have some certainty of where their child is going to go for preschool, for kindergarten, middle school, high school. We need to really allow parents to be parents. And then number two, we need to make sure that every seat in every school is the best possible. And that goes from, access to technology, the best curriculum possible, but also the best food, best, environment possible for our students, so they have outdoor space, so they can be, sound mind, body, and soul. And a lot of that happens in the school system, and we need to do a better job of making sure we have the best food possible for our kids, and that they have some physical activity as well as a great curriculum that's going to prepare them for every step of the way.
Sounds good. How about on the other side of the coin, the elders, our seniors in here, and I imagine there's quite a few on the Upper West Side.
Yeah, we're very fortunate to live on the Upper West Side and in New York City. And one of the things that we're seeing that I don't think enough people are talking about is that we're going to face an aging crisis in the city in the next 10 years. The city is safer, it's more accessible, seniors want to stay here, they don't want to move to the suburbs, they want to live on the Upper West Side. So we need to do everything possible to make sure that there are housing options for them, that we have small businesses here that can provide them, with more access to food that isn't, skyrocket prices, that all of our, services are accessible for them. So we're putting a very large focus on my campaign on the seniors. We visit senior centers every single week, we engage with the seniors, and we want to hear from them. I'm absolutely convinced that if you build the city for your seniors, you're building it for the future. Because if it's accessible and safe and efficient for seniors, then it will be easy and safe and accessible for young families, for baby strollers, for pedestrians, and for everybody.
I learned something actually last week. I would like to share. There's a new on 79th Street, a new little pharmacy. Okay, and I said to them, and there's a larger pharmacy across the street. All right, that actually merged the smaller pharmacy that used to be here many years ago. And I asked the gentleman, I said, how you're going to do okay here? You're going to make it? He said, you know what? I wanted to be near a large pharmacy because I can give a little bit of different customer service. So the small guy still has an appeal, and I agree with him. There is an appeal.
Yeah, and especially in this neighborhood, Upper West Siders are very loyal. They like to have that local place where they know the people that are in there. And that's what makes small businesses unique, and that's what makes the neighborhood unique. So we want to encourage more of these types of businesses to come to our city. And the number one thing that every West Sider can do is patronize local businesses. I mean, that hands down is the top thing, because if you have a huge national chain and no one's going there, they're not going to be able to make their rent, and they're going to have to leave. And there's two small examples on the Upper West Side, and this is where we need to do a better job. We have a Verizon store on Broadway in the 80s closing, and we have a Rite Aid in the 60s on Amsterdam closing. So when these things now close, we need to be prepared to have new entrepreneurs and existing small businesses then expand and take those spaces back. We can't fall backwards and think we've been defeated by this proliferation of chains. We need to make it easier for existing businesses to grow and then hopefully recapture some of these spaces. So I'm convinced that the battle is not lost here on the Upper West Side, and we can bring back a lot more of the character that we've lost over the last 10 years.
Beautiful, Ken. Last question. What's good news for you?
Oh, my wife and I are having a baby on May 23rd. That's the best news imaginable, regardless of anything else that happens this year.